Okay, so people are joining.
Great.
Hello, everybody.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome. Wow, a lot of people coming in. That's so
Yes.
nice to see. Welcome, everybody. Namaste, everyone. Welcome from all different places of the world. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Yes. Welcome, everybody.
Very exciting topic we have today, astrocartography and how to support various aspects of Artha, aim of life with astrocartography.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Hello, everybody. Namaste, George. Yes, everyone who's coming in here, do me a favor, say hello and let me know where you're coming from today. Would love to hear all the different places everyone is dialing in from today. Hello, Nina. Usha from Pennsylvania. Well, that makes two of us in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Okay, Rachel from Albuquerque. Hello, Jeet. Hello, Jeet from Mumbai. I've integrated your query into the webinar, so we're going to be pulling you into the webinar live towards the end of the session.
Yes, Chandrasekhar ji is from Pune. So welcome, Chandrasekhar ji.
Welcome, Chandrasekhar. I've also integrated your query into the webinar today, and we'll be pulling you into our session live.
Wonderful.
Wow, look at all these people. Hold on. Let's say hello to everybody. So we have Rachel from Albuquerque. Hello. I spent many years in Albuquerque. Yogesh from Pune. Namaste. Such a blessing to have you here. One of my greatest teachers, Dr. Vasant Lad, is from Pune. And also Madhura ji has a very heartfelt connection there.
Yes.
Maulik ji, namaste. You're from Ahmedabad. Namaste, welcome. Hello, Marina from New York, Kevin from Minneapolis, Neha from New Delhi, Bhargavji from Wisconsin. Hello, Assam from, oh, you're from Assam, Redmi from Assam, namaste. Trina, hello, Trina. We did a reading together. I'm very happy you're joining us today. Vic from Delhi, hello, good to see you, Vikas. Diveshji, namaste. Welcome. This is your first live webinar on Saptarishis. Well, you're in for a treat. There's nothing more fun than these live webinars with Madhuraji and I. April, from currently in Colorado, but from Texas. Namaste. Thank you for joining us today. Kartik Ji from Northern Territory, Darwin, Australia. Namaste. Great to have you from down under. We have Arina Ji, namaste, and Nikhil, another blessed individual from Pune, Maharashtra. So blessing to have everyone here today. Thank you all for introducing yourself. It is such a pleasure to have you. I'm Kṣaṇāti, born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Good to see everyone here.
Yes. Welcome, everybody from all parts of the world.
Madhura has some dogs joining us as well.
Yes.
What are their names, Madhuraji?
Well, they're not my dogs.
Oh, okay.
So they are some neighbors.
Yes, I received a lot of questions in the past few days. And by that point, I had already integrated all of the community examples. So those of you who sent in your questions but didn't get a response from me towards the end of the session, I'll be having live questions where we can take a look at all different aspects of the concepts in astrocartography together.
Yeah, and we are looking forward for a course. So everybody can join the course and you can ask as many questions to Kṣaṇāti.
Exactly, exactly. Today we're
Yes.
going to be previewing and introducing ourselves to the 10-class Saptarishis Astrology Vedic Astro Cartography course called the Astrology of Geography. And today we're going to be getting a taste for one of the classes, because in one of the classes of the 10-class course, we will focus on how to use astrocartography to support Artha, material prosperity, and career, as well as 9 other very exciting topics related to astrocartography. So I think everyone here will be getting a nice preview and taste of our upcoming course, which starts May 20th.
Yes, absolutely.
April, I'm happy to see your excitement. Can I ask whether the webinar can be recorded? Yes, this whole webinar will be recorded by Medora and I. We will edit and process this recording, and it'll probably be published within the next 2 weeks.
Yes, absolutely. On Saptarishis Astrology YouTube channel. So you can check the webinar out over there once again. So do you think we should start?
Great.
Okay. So yes, you don't have to make notes, but for your personal reference, you can make the notes. No worry. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome all the people who have joined us from all the parts of the world. And today I have a privilege to host a webinar on astrocartography with Kṣaṇāti. And this is the preview of our course, which we are going to launch on 20th of May. And it will be astrocartography, which will be 10 weeks course. So, and obviously it will be taught by Kṣaṇāti himself, the master of astrocartography, I can say. So without wasting much time, I'll welcome Kṣaṇāti and over to you.
Namaste, Madhuraji. Thank you so much for the introduction. Again, I can't thank you enough for your constant support, all of the amazing work you do to support the ancient science of Jyotish and Saptarishi astrology. You're such a blessing, and I cannot thank you enough. Also want to give special thanks to Sunil John, founder of Saptarishi Astrology, for his constant vision to bring astrology to the whole world, to the whole planet, and to be able to support the community with ancient science of Jyotish. So a special thanks to Sunil John for his vision of Jyotish as well.
Absolutely.
He is such a blessing in everyone's life who knows him.
Yes.
And I just like to discuss a very exciting topic today, which is astrocartography. Now, astrocartography was invented in the early 1900s by a Western astrologer by the name of Jim Lewis. But Jim Lewis knew of this big debate between tropical astrology and sidereal astrology, between the Western calculation of the chart and the Eastern calculation of the chart. And so it was part of the great Jim Lewis's intention and vision to create a form of astrology which is beyond this argument, to create a form of astrology which is beyond the argument between Western and Eastern astrology, to create an astrology that is beyond the sidereal or the tropical calculation, because we're looking at an angular representation of the planetary energy when it hit the planet at the moment of somebody's birth. So it doesn't have to do with the calculations, it has to do with the angular positions of those planets at those times. And this creates an energy which is unbiased. That means you can take astrocartography and you can interpret it with the Western chart. You can take astrocartography and you can interpret it with the Jyotish chart. But the astrocartography itself, even though it was created by a Western astrologer, it does surpass this Vedic versus Western debate. And that is why it is perfect to be integrated in the ancient science of Jyotish. And the results are unimaginable. And we're going to take a look at some of the techniques that all of you can do at home in order to support your understanding for where in this world will be best for you to achieve the second aim of life, which is Artha.
That's really, really great.
Namaste, everyone. So can we see the presentation very well?
Yes, clear.
Okay, fantastic. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that we're going to be focusing on the second aim of life, Artha. But that second aim of life, Artha, has many different aspects. Now, when we know when looking at the chart, Artha shows up in the second house. Artha shows up in the sixth house. Artha shows up in the 10th house. And even all of those houses have to do with Artha, Bhava, that each of those houses carry a unique vibration. So we're also going to look at all of the different aspects of Artha and how we can specifically support that with astrocartography. So how can we achieve the full potential of Artha, Bhava with the tool of Vedic Astro Cartography? How we can use the Vedic ACG to empower our greatest success, specifically career expansion, financial independence, and prosperity. Again, my name is Kṣaṇāti. I am a traditional Vedic astrologer living in the United States. I do all sorts of private work, readings, astrocartography consultations, and all sorts of other astrological work. You can visit my website here, jyotishastrology.org, pretty easy to remember. And you can email me with any questions that you have that come up after this session, or any questions that you have about any of my services. And then also social media. I am constantly posting updates on Facebook, different planetary mantras, different planetary yantras, different transits and aspects which are going on right now. So it's a fun website to follow there at the bottom.
Yes, we'll make all the links available in the description section as well.
Great, great. So I've split up today's webinar into 8 different parts, which means we're going to be discussing a lot of different things today. First, we're going to go over what is astrocartography. Again, what is this ancient science of astrocartography and how does it work? How to integrate the ancient science of Jyotish into the modern astrocartography. And we'll also go over some astrocartography softwares that you can use, especially some free softwares that you can access from home to check your astrocartography chart at any time. Then we're going to go into an exciting preview of our 10-week astrocartography course, discuss a little bit of what to expect during that course, when it's going to start, and all of the exciting information as relates to that. And then we're going to go into detail about how to use astrocartography to support Artha in general, how to use astrocartography to support career specifically, and how to use astrocartography to support material prosperity, which includes wealth. And then we have some community examples from Jeet and Chandrasekhar, and some live questions. We're going to take a look at any questions you guys have at the end of this session. There is a question and answer icon on Zoom. And so if you have any questions, just send them through on there and we'll try to answer them towards the end of the session. This is my guru, Amritananda Mahima Amaji. She's the hugging saint from Kerala, South India. And she has been such a guidance and inspiration in my life. And I could not even begin to do any of my dharma if it weren't for the support of my guru. So I'm going to do a quick prayer to honor her and also ask her to come into this webinar today to assist us. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhu cha saka tvameva, tvameva veja dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam amriteshwariyema, tvameva sarvam amriteshwariyema. Tvameva sarvam amriteshwariye namaha. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Namaste. So what is astrocartography? So astrocartography was created by Jim Lewis in the early 1900s. And astrocartography shows a map. Again, it's a geographic map. Unlike in the natal chart, it's a North Indian or South Indian astrological map. Here we're looking at a specific geographical map of the globe. And again, astrocartography shows a map of certain planetary lines and vortexes set at the moment of birth, based on the angular of that planet in the sky at that time. Now, I asked everyone in my group for this event, which figure, astrocartography, do you want to look at? We had Donald Trump, we had Steve Jobs, and I don't know why, but everyone wanted to look at my astrocartography. So, very funny, very funny.
That's really great.
So through the various examples here, we have my astrocartography. So whenever you're wondering here with the different examples, we're looking at my astrocartography. So I can explain a little bit from personal experience. Now again, we're looking at a map of certain planetary lines and vortexes set at the moment of birth. Again, just to show you, here on the far left, we're looking at the Somaya or the Chandra line. This dark blue line is the moon line. Then next to it, you have a dark green line. This is the Venus line. And then this black line is Pluto line. Now, in more simple version of Vedic astrocartography, we do not use the outer planet. But in some of the more advanced forms of Vedic astrocartography, I love to use the outer planet because in traditional Jyotish, we only use Navagraha, 9 major planets. But because I believe in innovation and combining what is new education with the ancient, I believe that these outer planetary lines still do carry lots of planetary energy. And while they are not as significant as the Navagraha, they still have a lot of planetary influence. Again, just explaining more of these lines, this bright pinkish purple line, that's Jupiter. This black line here is Rahu slash Ketu. In astrocartography, we're looking at a nodal axis line. So not as much separation between Rahu and Ketu, as much as we understand this as a nodal axis. Then we look next to it is this orange yellowish line, which is the sun, and next to that is Mercury. Then we have Neptune. I know that's Uranus. Then we have Saturn, Chiron, and Mars in that order. And here's Neptune on the far end. So these are just examples of how the planetary lines look. But as you can see, these lines travel across the globe. So in Mumbai, which I cannot wait to visit because Sunilji, I have Moon. Moon is in my 9th house, which is education. So I know when I go with Mumbai and travel around with Sunil for a little bit, I'm going to learn a lot about astrology. A lot of things that I didn't know. In Pune, it's very close to Moon too. And I also have I studied Ayurveda with Dr. Vasant Lad. He is one of my spiritual teachers. He is also one of the teachers of Ayurveda and astrology for me. And so that shows some relevance having my moon line near Pune. And then in Kerala, South India, I have Venus, very strong influence. This very strong influence of Venus, I also have Venus in the 9th house of the Guru. My Guru is Amma. Her main ashram is in Kerala, South India. So this is just a taste, but oh my God, look at the power of Vedic astrocartography. Astrocartography is the science which allows for the interpretation and understanding of these planetary lines. In other words, astrocartography helps us understand what this map even means or what this map even represents. So it's about the analysis and understanding of the planetary lines. And as briefly mentioned earlier, Jim Lewis created the science of astrocartography to surpass the Vedic tropical shift, the sidereal tropical argument. Now, you will notice in the writing here, IC, MC, DS, these are all Western positions in the chart. So it's mentioning that because this is a Western program, that there are some, it's mentioning the Western position in that person's chart. But these astrocartography lines remain the same, regardless of tropical or sidereal. They're just using the different identifications here. So don't let that confuse you. The reason I'm using this software is because it's free and everyone can use it no matter where you are across the globe. There is this great Vedic software for ACG, Sri Jyotish Star, but I'm not going to encourage everyone to go spend $250 for it. Again, this is what the ACG map look more blown up, look more closer look. Again, this is my ACG map. We have the sun in Philadelphia. We have the Venus and Mercury in New Mexico and Colorado, and Saturn here in California. Now, a little bit about how to use ACG software, okay? As mentioned, it surpasses the shift, the tropical versus sidereal shift. So you can use a Western astrocartography software and use your natal Vedic ACG chart to understand that software. In other words, you can use a Western astrocartography software and still understand it from a Vedic paradigm or understand it from a Vedic perspective. Again, the best Vedic software for ACG, I love Sri Jyotish Star, but we can use a free software, which is Western, and interpret it from a Vedic perspective, and it's the same energy. Now, I recommend using the free software on astro.com. It's pretty advanced because not only does it show all of the major line, it shows all the harmonious aspects and the disharmonious aspects. So when we're getting into advanced astrocartography, we look at these aspects as well. And I like that the astro.com software has that. So you go to astro.com, then you select free horoscope, and then select astro travel. And then you will input all of your birth information, and you can look at your astrocartography map right there. And if you want, here's a direct link. So you can just type this into your URL at the top of the browser if you want a direct link to the software. But basically, you input your birth details into the astrocartography horoscope. You select which part of the globe you want to focus on, and boom, you can begin your interpretation. Now, after the major planetary lines are understood and analyzed, this use of harmonious and disharmonious aspects can be integrated for further understanding. But these harmonious, disharmonious aspects, it's more advanced astrocartography. And when we're going through the course together, it's something that we get on and we discuss a little bit later because it's more advanced. Now, how can we apply this contemporary science of astrocartography to the ancient Vedic science of Jyotish? We're taking something that is about 100 years old and aligning it with something which is over 5,000 years old. I just think there's something extremely beautiful about that kind of innovation. Now, in order to align one's cartography with Vedic astrology, we use the D1. So there are many different theories. Some astrocartography do relocational. this can be, I believe, in many ways, this overcomplicate the understanding of astrocartography. The best way to understand astrocartography is to use your birth details for the astrocartography chart and to use your D1. And I don't think we need to do anything beyond that. That kind of overcomplicates things. And astrology is this vast ocean, which we are trying to simplify, not trying to complicate. Comparing areas of life, the houses, aims of life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and karmas affected by planetary influence in the natal chart is then integrated in the astrocartography chart. So we're basically taking all of the karma and energy from our natal chart and using that to understand the various planetary lines in the astrocartography. For example, in ACG, my sun line goes through my birthplace of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And let's just take a quick look at that. Again, this is my sun line. That's where I'm currently living. I spent many years living near my Moon and Venus line here in New Mexico, but I moved back to Philadelphia here. And again, we're looking at a strong sun line in Philadelphia for me. And in my chart, I have Sun in the 10th house in Kendra, in very powerful position. Also, Sun is conjunct with my Atmakarika, which is Mercury, and I also have Mercury in the Northeast United States, very close to Pennsylvania. So we're getting a strong influence from my 10th house in Philadelphia, United States. The 10th house has significations, and it's in Scorpio, which is a pretty good position. The 10th house has signification for career and life purpose. And so therefore, the sun line in my ACG, this sun line, it support my 10th house. It support my career. It support my expansion. It support my soul's direction in fulfillment of my life purpose. You know, I knew that there would be more growth for me in Philadelphia as far as my career than anywhere else in the world. Now, I have Moon and Venus in the 9th house. So New Mexico is very positive for me spiritually. But it is hard to make a living there. Here in Philadelphia, my ability to support the second aim of life, which is Artha, not only career, but prosperity and success in general, and the ability to provide for myself, and the ability to provide for my family. This is all supported by my sun line here in Philadelphia. One of the many reasons I moved away from New Mexico to Philadelphia. Now I'd like to introduce...
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. Now I'd like to introduce everyone to our Saptarishis Astrology 10-week Vedic Astro Cartography course. I cannot even describe how excited I am for this. So it's called Vedic Astro Cartography, the Astrology for Geography. And you will be joining Madhuraji and I for 10 weeks here. So very exciting. So happy that Madhura will be joining us for this course. I can, again, thank you so much. And I'm very excited. How are you feeling about the course?
Yes, absolutely. And it's my pleasure to be part of the course. And I really encourage everybody to join because it is wonderful and it works. And this is the first time astrocartography course is happening. So I really encourage everyone to join us.
Thank you so much, Madhuraji. So we'll be starting on May 20, and it'll be at 8:30 p.m. India Standard Time. Now that is about 11 in the morning on the East Coast of the United States, 10 in the morning in the Central United States, 9 in the morning in the Mountain United States, 8 in the morning in the Pacific United States. It'll be around 3 p.m. in London and about 6 p.m. in Russia. And so I specifically, Madhura and I picked this for Sunday at a time where everyone in the world can join. So,
yes, absolutely.
So no matter what time it is, from 11 in the morning into 8:30 p.m. We hope you can join us on Sundays starting May 20th for this course.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward for all of you to join.
If you're coming from India, the course is 14,000 rupees. It's 220 USD, and that comes down to about $22 per class. So you're really getting a high value. Now, as mentioned, if you've ever gotten a reading with me or you've ever taken one of my private tutoring, then I would do 10% discount of the course. So again, if we've worked together, the course is a little bit cheaper for all of you. Ooh. Whoa. Sorry, must have hit the keyboard there for a second. So again, we're looking at a 10-week course starting May 20, and really looking forward to all of you joining us. Now let's talk a little bit about what to expect for the course.
Yes, exactly.
But I want everyone to know where they can purchase and join the course directly. It's from Saptarishis shop, which is saptarishishop.com under courses. So go to saptarishishop.com, then go to courses, and you can immediately join this course. And there's a direct link here if you just want to type that into URL. The class will begin May 20 and will end July 29.
Right.
So many different topics will be discussed, and it will be very exciting. We will do lots of discussion. We will use all of my students' charts. All of the students will be receiving high-quality versions of their astrocartography charts. So a lot of this course, if you're joining it, you will learn about your astrocartography chart in astounding detail. In the beginning of the course, we're going to talk about the history of astrocartography, cartography software, ACG map, and introduction to glyphs. Like we talked a little bit about that today, but we will go into much deeper detail as far as those things. Also, we will go into detail of the ACG map interpretation, how to understand the ACG. What are some of the differences in how is traditionally understood ACG from a Western astrology chart versus how we understand ACG in Jyotish with the Vedic natal one. Also, we will learn the basic karmic energies of the graha lines in the ACG chart, because you do have to look in the natal chart to understand how that karma is manifesting. But these planetary lines, they also have basic energies. Then we'll understand how to correspond those energies between the astrocartography map and the natal chart. And we'll also discuss how to understand whether a planetary line is benefic or malefic. Because just because we have a planet like Jupiter, which is a benefic planet, if it's in a debilitation, if it's in enemy dignity, if it's in retrograde, it might be acting functionally benefic, and that will change the astrocartography there. And then we will discuss dasha periods in ACG. This is an incredibly exciting period because the dasha, they act like magnet. They act like magnet, which pull us so close to that line. And so there is lots of signification to understand the Mahadasha, the Antardasha, and different planetary transits as they relate to ACG. Then we will discuss travel tourism in ACG. Not always when we are using ACG are we deciding to move somewhere permanently. Sometimes we want to use ACG for where is good to travel, where is good to go on vacation, where is unsafe to travel, where is not a good idea to go on vacation. This is a fun area of ACG. Then we will discuss ACG and Dharma, how to use specifically astrocartography to align to the individual dharma. That means which place in the globe support our dharma and which place in the globe makes our dharma most difficult to align to, makes it most difficult to achieve. Where in the globe to align to our purpose, where in the globe to align to our true self, where in the globe to align to our gifts and our strength. Because based on certain energies in astrocartography, if we are in certain location, more of our weaknesses will be concentrated. When if we go to other location, more of our strengths will be concentrated. You don't want to be somewhere where you are just a manifestation of your weaknesses. Then we will use ACG to support business and career, ACG and Artha, ACG and material success. And actually, this promotional webinar today is like a preview for this aspect of the course, which we will go into further detail during the course with lots of fun homework assignments. I will let everyone know as a teacher, I love to give homework. So if you're joining the course, I hope you're okay with doing some homework and some quizzes. After that, we will also suggest ACG and romantic love. A lot of time people experience many challenges in romance, many challenges in love, have hard time finding soulmate. It's possible this is geographic. Now again, there is karmic influence. Sometimes no matter where you are in the globe, if the karma is challenging in yourself, it will make it hard to be happy. But you can use astrocartography to find a place where you'll be most successful in love, most successful in dating, most successful in romance, where you will have higher attraction. People will be more attracted to you. And this has a lot to do with the third aim of life, which is kama, or desire. And these points of kama also support where we will become good parents, or where we will have best chance for raising family. Also in this course, we will discuss astrocartography and moksha. Okay, this is very exciting because you can actually use geography to help for your spiritual evolution. There are some places in the globe where it is hard to spiritually evolve. And there are other places in the globe for the individual which are very supportive for our spiritual evolution, where you can find your guru, where you can find your spiritual teacher, where you feel like you fit in within that spiritual community. And so we use the astrocartography to align to our spiritual evolution, and that is an extremely beautiful process. And then we also do ACG and danger, ACG and accident. A lot of times in life, people have accident. Some accident in life are major. Some accident in life are minor. There's also danger, where we are at risk for being hurt, or when we are at risk for criminal activity. Just as a quick example, I have Jupiter very strong in my chart, but it's retrograde in an enemy sign. And so the Jupiter line in my astrocartography, it carry a mixed effect. And when I was in New Orleans, Louisiana, where my astrocartography Jupiter is very, very strong, I got robbed of $200. I got taken out of my pocket. So again, this is just an example. When I was going to that place, I should have known that I was vulnerable to theft. If I had looked at the astrocartography and looked at my chart, I would have been able to understand that. But I didn't understand it till afterward. But this is just an example. We can use ACG to avoid any danger or challenges. And this means there are certain places in the world where our health is going to be the most optimum by the influence of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, because the astrocartography, each of the line influence Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So you can use the astrocartography for the longest and healthiest life. It's very possible that certain places in the globe, if you are to live there, and you will only live 60 years. But if you are to go to another place, you can live 80 or 90 years. So you can really influence the health and the longevity of the life with astrocartography as well. And this is just a taste. This is just a taste of what we'll be offering in the course. But as you can see, there is just, no matter what you are trying for assistance with, no matter what you are trying for support with, astrocartography can help in a way that we cannot even imagine.
Yes, absolutely. And Karthik ji has asked a question that time is a little inconvenient for him. So are we providing the recordings? Yes, surely. we are going to provide the recording. So go ahead and you can register for the course.
Yes, yes. We will definitely provide recordings.
Yes.
And if any of the students can attend the class, we will. They will immediately receive the recording of that class within a couple days after the class is complete.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that is the preview for the astrocartography course. I hope everyone's really excited. I have never been so excited for teaching in my life, so I cannot even describe my excitement. And I look forward to getting to know all of you that will join the course much, much better and diving into the science of astrocartography together. Now, today, we're going to focus on Artha Bhava. Now, Artha has to do with material prosperity and success, and has to do with wealth, and it has to do with our career. But what is it more deeper metaphysical? It has to do with the success and the prosperity in our whole life in general. A lot of time people talk about dharma, how important dharma is. They talk about moksha, how important moksha is. But there is ancient sutra, Dhammartha Kama Mokshanam Arogyam Mula Muttamam. The Dharma Artha Kama Moksha, there is no aim of life which is greater than another. All the aim of life are equal, and all four have positive relationship with each other for the greatest amount of life happiness. So this is why that you cannot say just because Artha has to do with material, just because Artha has to do with money, does not make it less significant, does not make it more important. Because to support one aim of life but abandon another, that is not holistic. That is not complete. You have to honor all of these aims of life, and they actually have reaction to each other. When we can align to our dharma, then we can begin to achieve Artha. And after we've achieved Artha for a while, then we can get some of our desires, which is kama. And after we've achieved all of our desires, then we will be ready to leave this physical form and join the Paramatma, and we will go through moksha. So again, all of these things have a necessary relationship towards each other. Astrocartography can be used as an amazing tool to align to one's success in Artha. This means the potential for success, reputation in your career and work, your prosperity, and includes financial independence and growth. So when we're looking for ACG-related Artha activation, we look at the energies in the second house, the sixth house, and the 10th house. So for understanding how to support your Artha using astrocartography, you need not look beyond those houses. When analyzing these energies, planets and signs influencing must be heavily considered. And the conjunction in these Artha houses, is this conjunction, which is in this Artha house, auspicious in terms of dignity and planetary alignment? For example, when looking at your natal chart, if you have an exalted sun in the second house, or you have an exalted sun in the 10th house, it shows a very powerful Artha vibration. So before we can even understand the astrocartography, we are understanding the Artha vibration in the D1 in the natal chart of the individual. And we're looking at whether there is a positive energy in the second house, sixth house, or 10th house. These energies, which are heavily influencing the Artha in the D1, now must be transferred to the ACG map. If auspicious in the D1 for Artha, then traveling to the Artha astrocartography line will be very positive for Artha. This is my chart, everyone. We have North Indian chart. We have South Indian chart. I am Rahu, Aquarius, Lagna, Satabishak Nakshatra. This is my ACG map of the United States because I want to use this example to help explain to you what is the place in the United States which will be the most beneficial for me for second aim of life, Artha, prosperity and success. When looking at my ACG chart, first we focus on the Artha houses. the second house, the sixth house, and the 10th house. In the second house, we have Mars and Pisces. Now, Mars does very well in Pisces. It's considered a great friend. So this is a positive position. But if you look in the North America, no Mars line. There is no Mars line in the North in the United States for me, unless I want to go to St. John, Canada. So basically, there's no Mars in United States. So I'm not going anywhere in the United States to support Artha Kama as it relates to Mars. So moving on. When you look at the rulership of the second house, we look at Pisces, which is ruled by the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter is in fourth house, retrograde in Taurus. That means enemy dignity. This will encourage a mixed effect. That means probably not the most auspicious place for my Artha Baba, where this Jupiter line is. And that's where I got mugged. Then we look at sixth house. Now again, if you don't have energy in the second house or the 10th house, you look at the sixth house to support Artha, especially if there is favorable position there. But sixth house is upachaya. That means it has some challenging malefic energies. So it can support Artha, but it also has some challenging vibration. So if possible, you want to use the second house and the 10th house when Artha instead of the sixth house. But again, sixth house can still be used as powerful tool. Now, when you're looking at sixth house ruler, which is moon, because I have Cancer in sixth house, then you look at moon position. Moon is in ninth house, trine house position, conjunction with Venus in Libra. So all of this seems to be a favorable energy in ninth house. Sometimes Venus and moon have challenges with each other, but it's very strong feminine vibration. Now, this connection to the ninth house can be very favorable for Artha, even though the ninth house is not Artha house, because the ruler of the sixth house is in the ninth house. It does support Artha. That is why when you're looking at these Artha houses, you want to look at the ruler. You want to look at the ruler of that house. So we're looking at that position in the ninth house. So the moon-Venus lines by the rulership of moon on the sixth house with the positive energy of Venus in Libra, this can give a very position of, this could be a very financially supportive energy. So my moon and Venus lines, they can be beneficial financially. But again, it's through connection to the ninth house. So far, the ninth house looks like the moon and Venus lines. Just want to check the video, make sure everything's working. Can everyone see and hear me okay? Looks like Medora dropped out for a sec. Okay, good. Loading back into the webinar then. So this ninth house position, namaste, Medora ji.
Namaste. Sorry, my internet went off.
Oh, no worries. So far we've mentioned that no Mars in the United States, so we can't do that. And the moon, which is the ruler of the sixth house, has positive position in the ninth house. So we are looking at some potential favorable Artha connection to the moon and Venus line, but not as direct as it could be. Now, let's look at the 10th house. The 10th house contains Sun and Mercury is the Atmakaraka. So we are also looking at an Atmakaraka line. Atmakaraka line, someone sent in question earlier, what are the Karaka influence on astrocartography? Well, especially the Atmakaraka and the Ayatmakaraka have an extreme influence in astrocartography as being very powerful places. This is close to, so that supports the Mercury line for Artha, and then Sun in the 10th house in Scorpio also supports the Sun line for Artha. This conjunction supports a very favorable Artha connection in the northeast of the United States. That includes Pennsylvania, New York, and Massachusetts. So these will all be very positive places. So again, when looking at my chart, astrocartography, there's no Mars in the United States, and the Jupiter line has enemy dignity. So we're not really looking at those for Artha. The sixth house ruler is Moon in the ninth, which is more favorable, but no stronger Artha energy in my astrocartography than the 10th house, which supports Artha. It supports career with my Atmakaraka and Sun in Scorpio Bhava in the Northeast United States. So the number one Artha line in this ACG map is the 10th house Sun Mercury line with a secondary support of the Moon Venus line. Now, we talked about Artha in general, but how can we specifically focus on career? Now, when we focus on career, we really want to focus on the 10th house. We really want to zone in on the energy of the 10th house. Now, often we can use ACG to align to our greatest career potential. So if there is a success in our career, we can go somewhere where that is influenced and we will reach the highest position in your career. But let's say there's heavy influence of Saturn, then you might not have any success in your career where you currently are, especially if Saturn is an enemy dignity. So when there are challenges in the career, often we can remove those challenges just by changing our geographic location. When looking for ACG-related career activation, we focus on energies specifically in the 10th house. Highly auspicious vibrations that take place in this house can often show career potential. For example, a planet with positive dignity in the 10th house, like an exalted Sun or Jupiter, can be very positive for their career potential in our astrocartography. But if that planet in the 10th house has a very challenging dignity or position, like a debilitated planet, Rahu or Ketu, or an enemy in an enemy position, or with an enemy planetary war, then you do not want to look at that planet. You want to look at the planetary ruler of that house. So if we're looking at a Venus, which is in Virgo in the 10th house, because Venus is in debilitation, the Venus line will not be that beneficial for career. Even more beneficial will be the Mercury line, because Virgo is ruled by the planet Mercury. But then, of course, that has to be in a positive dignity as well. So when you're looking at, let's say, enemy planet in the 10th house, and then you go to the planet's ruler, and that planet is debilitated, you're looking at a lot of challenges to the person's career from a karmic perspective, because to some extent it's saying no matter where you go, you will experience challenge. But first, you will look at the planet in that house. If it is in positive position, then you will look at the planetary ruler of that house, and if that is in positive position, and then use those lines for the astrocartography. This method of using the ruler of the 10th house for ACG is very favorable, especially when the ruler of the 10th house is Kendra, trine, or positive dignity. That means 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th, 5th, or 9th house, and with a positive dignity in a positive sign, exaltation, or natural sign. Now, these energies, which are heavily influencing the career of the native, must now be transferred to the astrocartography. If auspicious in the D1, traveling to those lines will be favorable for career. If those lines, they will help support your highest expansion in your career. Even in some cases, if the 10th house energy is inauspicious, that means enemy position, or the ruler of that house is an enemy position, still, that going to that line will be beneficial with your career. It will just come with many challenges. You know, let's say you have Saturn in the 10th house in a debilitation. going to your Saturn line will still be very successful for your career. The challenge will be that you will have to be a slave to your career. You will have no personal or free time. So again, it doesn't prevent the success. It just, if it's an enemy influence, it brings a lot of challenges with that growth. You know, like even for me, I have Sun in Scorpio. So when looking at that energy of Scorpio in my chart, it can be sometimes challenging. I can feel burnt out. If I'm doing a lot of work, I sometimes feel totally exhausted and I just need to do nothing. So there's this energy where even though being in Philadelphia, there is no place that is more beneficial for my career, but still sometimes even when I am succeeding, I feel very exhausted from all of the hard work. Now let's focus on material prosperity. This is what everyone wants to know. How can I get more money in my saving account with ACG? Now, I said material prosperity instead of wealth because wealth is limited. When we think of wealth, we think of the amount of saving in our bank account. But when I mention material prosperity, I am saying the ability for you to provide for yourself and the ability for you to provide for your family, which is a lot more spiritual than just having money in your saving account. It's the ability to provide, and the ability to provide is so important. Now, we can use ACG to align to this. When using ACG to manifest material prosperity, we focused on the 2nd, 10th, and 11th houses. So here we're bringing a non-Artha house into understanding the Astro Cartography because the 11th house is the house of gains. The 11th house is the house of profits. And when you're talking about money, the 11th house can be very beneficial. So we're including the 11th house here, even though it's a Kama house and not an Artha house. Now, ideally, it is most auspicious when there is a karmic relationship between these houses. For example, one house's ruler posits itself in another one of these houses. For example, let's say we have a sun in Gemini in the 2nd house, but then Mercury is in the 10th house in Aquarius, and then Saturn is in the 11th house in Leo. So there's a connection between all three of these houses. That is the most auspicious for wealth. When there is a karmic connection between the planets, like depositorship, when you see there is a depositorship between 2nd, 10th, and 11th houses, nothing greater for material prosperity. Now, very interesting in the research that I've done, I also find that Venus, the Venus planetary line, support material prosperity, just in general. Now, you have to look at Venus position in chart, but Venus, Maha Shukrayaji, is the Lord of wealth. Shukraya is the Lord of wealth. Because Shukraya is this Lord of wealth, you have to look at the position of Venus for the ACG to support material prosperity. Usually, if Venus is in positive position in the chart, in the right house, in the right sign, that is a very materially prosperous line. Now, when looking at malefic planets or challenging dignities, it will cause certain mixed effects. That means there will still be certain material rewards. In other words, let's say you have a debilitated Mars in the 2nd house in Cancer. It does not show that you will not make money. You can still make money by going to your Mars line. But when Mars is debilitated, it causes restlessness, it causes irritability, and it causes discontent. So going towards your Mars line, if Mars is debilitated in one of these houses, will still help you make money. It's just going to make you in pain and suffering when you do it. It will make you irritable. Maybe you're making lots of money, but you hate your job. That is a good example. Again, I'm using my example here because the community in the group mentioned they wanted to look at my Artha ACG chart. So here I have my North American ACG chart, which we looked at earlier. But instead of focusing on Artha, now we focus on material prosperity, focus on wealth. Now, as mentioned, we will focus on the 2nd and the 10th houses. We already looked at the 2nd house, but there is no planet of Mars there. We looked at the Jupiter, and it's an enemy position, so that's going to have mixed effect. Although Jupiter in Taurus does suggest money, it does suggest wealth. So this Jupiter line, when you're focusing just on material prosperity, it does have a mixed effect. In other words, it's possible if I started a job there, especially with Jupiter in the 4th house, if I moved there and started a job there and worked from home, I could be very financially prosperous. But again, by the mixed effect, I have to worry about crime. You know, in New Orleans, there's lots of crime. So I have to worry about crime in these places. And so there's a balance there. So even though it might support me making money, too much of a mixed effect for me to consider that line. Now, the 10th house posits Sun and Mercury, and we talked about that could be a really positive position. And the 10th house ruler is in the 2nd house. So remember how I mentioned it is the most beneficial when there is a depositorship? Well, now we have the depositorship of the ruler of the 10th house depositing itself in the 2nd house. That even further suggests that the Mercury and the Sun line will be even more specifically beneficial for me in terms of wealth, in terms of my abilities to save money. So because of the depositorship. And so this depositorship, it does show that it is very good for material prosperity, my Mercury and Sun line. Now we look at 11th house because 11th house is profit. The 11th house is Saturn in Sagittarius. So we have a malefic planet in Jupiter sign, which is considered enemy position. By Saturn in the 11th house, it will bring material prosperity because the 11th house is a signification house for Saturn. It usually does show wealth, just there's a delay around that whenever Saturn is in the 11th house. So the 11th house Saturn line does pose some support for my material prosperity. But Saturn is a malefic inherent graha. That means that I will have to be a slave to my work. And also, my Saturn line is in California. I am very family-oriented person. And so even though I might be beneficial financially to do some work in Northern California, I am too much of a family person, and sadness is grief. So when I think of the mixed effect, yes, this Saturn line can be beneficial for me financially, but I will be depressed because I am far away from my family. Okay, great. So we talked a little bit about how to use astrocartography to support Artha, to support material prosperity, and to support career expansion. And now we're going to take a couple look at some community examples to show everyone else out there their individual karma with astrocartography and how to support Artha. So can we bring Chandrasekhar into the webinar today?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, I've promoted him to a panelist. So,
Namaste,
hello.
sir.
Yeah, hello?
Hello, namaste, sir. How are you doing
Namaste,
today?
namaste. Yeah, hi.
How are you enjoying the webinar?
Yeah.
Are you ready to look at your example today?
Yes.
Great. So you sent a question. I have tried to apply for permanent residence in Canada for 2 years, but without success.
Yeah.
please advise, will I prosper in India or abroad?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your basic, and this is Chandrasekhar's natal chart. He is Aries Lagna with Mars position first house 3 degree, conjunct with Venus at 22 degree. Now, when we're looking at your chart to support your prosperity and abroad, you mentioned that you have been trying to get to Canada, but without success. Now,
Yes.
when looking at your chart, there's a few things that we notice. One is that your Venus is in Lagna, and we mentioned that Venus is planet which support material prosperity.
Yeah.
And so because of your Venus in Lagna, it can have strong influence on a daily basis. And so it is very supportive for you. Before we even look at where it is, your Venus line will be supportive for your Artha, because also Venus rules your second house. Okay? And then that second house is deposited in the first. So we're looking at a very positive position. Your sixth house is ruled by Mercury, but Mercury is debilitated in 12th house. So we do not want to use that line. And then your 10th house is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn positioned in exalted but retrograde status in the 7th house. So there will certainly be a mixed effect. And we also see your energies in the 8th house of Moon and Jupiter retrograde. So overall, after looking at these different houses, it seems to me that the Venus line in your chart will be by far the most beneficial for your second aim of life, for your Artha and prosperity.
Okay.
When I take a look in the United States, it falls under, and also Canada, it's very close to Toronto. Where in Canada were you interested in moving to?
In Toronto, right?
You said Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep trying, my friend. Because the amount of, but there's an indication with that Venus line there that it will be extremely supportive to your second aim of life. And with the Venus line there, it also supports pleasure. It also supports romance. And so we're looking at a very supportive energy along this Venus line. So in Canada, that shows up in Toronto, and in the United States, it shows up in Chicago. Okay, now let's go to India. When we're looking at India, we're looking at a Venus line. Isn't that very auspicious? However, the Venus line is on the west coast of India.
Mm-hmm.
But your Moon and Jupiter line are in the east coast, which is in your 8th house, which is spiritually supportive. So it shows West India, material support, East India, spiritual support. This means the greatest areas for you, for your material prosperity in India, include along the West Coast, like Mumbai and Pune.
Okay.
And I've noticed this line in the middle of India, which is Rahu and Ketu,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be challenging. So again, this includes Chennai, Hyderabad, Nagpur, Delhi, not as helpful for you financially, can cause more challenges.
Okay.
I think I have something where I zoomed in on it here. Just to look a little bit closer, again in the United States, it's actually not Toronto that is going to be the most beneficial. It looks like Toronto, we have what line is that? It's going to be Chiron. Again, Chiron is a Western influence, but it's generally considered malefic. And so it looks like it's actually if you are going to move to Canada, it's actually further west of Toronto.
Okay.
Do you see this area? It looks like it says Sault Ste. Marie,
Okay.
which is close to North Bay, Ottawa, and is east of Thunder Bay.
Okay.
And in India, this whole Venus line is very supportive for you. But so the closer that you can be towards the ocean on West India will be most beneficial for you.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, G?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good, good, good. I hope that's helpful information for you. Where in India do you currently live?
I live in Pune.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. You seem to be in a good place then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you seem to be in a good place, very close to that Venus line. But I do encourage you to consider the possibility of moving to Canada or the United States. I saw that you have Saturn exalted but debilitated. I mean, exalted but retrograde in 7th house. And so I still feel there is strong chance that you will move to North America. I just think there is strong delay.
Yeah.
And so I encourage you to keep trying to move to North America. And if you are going to move to United States, anywhere along this line, which is Chicago, St. Louis, and Houston, but it also is going through here, which is kind of just a little bit west of Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, G. Nice to meet you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yes.
I really hope he can make it to North America to experience a closer Venus vibration. So can we pull in Jeet into our
Yes.
webinar?
Okay, I've promoted him to panelist. Okay. Hi, Jeet. Hello. Okay, I've
Namaste.
unmuted.
Jeet Ji? Namaste, Jeet.
Hello, we can't hear you. Hello, Jeet, are you there? Yes, he's there. Okay. He has messaged on. Okay.
Okay, so his mic's not working, so we'll proceed then.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, namaste. I'm just happy you're here, Jeet. And if there's anything you want to chat, I'm going to pull up the chat now, and you can just type it in. Okay, no problem. If you have any questions. So we're looking at Jeet's chart here, his astrocartography chart. So the question that Jeet proposed, sir, could you please tell me in what place of the earth I will find success? My chart indicates no foreign journey, so I guess it should be in India itself. You know, it's very interesting that you say this, Jeet, because even though your chart does not indicate foreign journey, in some aspects, in other aspects, I could see how it does support foreign journey. I have seen an example where those individuals have Rahu in 12th bhava, that they often will travel. And so even though you might not have overwhelming and a lot of energy in India, which will keep you there. And so when we look at the astrocartography, we can see, oh my God, look how much energy Jeet has in India. Oh my God, he has Venus, he has Moon, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn, and Rahu Ketu. So you have, I think, 6 or 7 planets in India. That is why it might feel like there is not indication to travel across the world. However, there is strong indication that if you were to travel, you would experience a great deal of positive energy. So we can talk about which places in India are going to be the most beneficial for you. But first we must address that I think that your chart has a great propensity for you to enjoy more than just India. I actually think when I look at your astrocartography, there are a few places in the world which are highly emphasized for you to travel to. What we're going to focus on India, but I want to mention what these other places are. Just seeing if G, okay. So first in the United States and Canada, it's strong in this part of northern Canada, which include Vancouver, Canada. Here in the United States, we're looking at Arizona and Utah. So an incredible amount of energy. And then over here, we have a Jupiter line. How beneficial is for your Jupiter in Florida? I think you will have great experience in Florida. Beautiful beaches, delicious food. You have Jupiter, and Jupiter in the 8th house, but in positive position. So there could be a mixed effect there. But again, there is energy for you in the United States. Not much going on for you in Africa or Egypt, but Africa or Europe, because most of these lines are falling in the ocean here. It looks like there's a Pluto line in this part of Europe, which means that's not really as beneficial of a place for you to visit. In other words, Arizona, much more beneficial for you than any place in Europe. You have a nice Jupiter line in Italy, though, which I think will be very beneficial. Oh, and by the way, because of the position of your Sun and Venus, I also love the idea of you going on vacation in Australia. You have Sun and Venus in Australia, and when you look at your chart, you have Sun and Venus in Kendra. So this is very powerful position for these planets. And it looks like Australia, not that far away from India. So you might want to take a vacation to Australia as your first place out of the country. But now you want to focus on India. So let's focus on India. But I wanted to start by saying, look at these energies for you in North America. Look at these energies for you in Australia. There are places for you to visit, my friend. In what place on earth I will find success? So we talked about a few of those places. Now, when you're looking at India, we want to tell you what lines are going to be the most favorable and what lines to avoid. I just want to identify those malefic lines in India. So the first one is Chiron. The second one is Pluto. So we're looking at Chiron and Pluto as some of the challenging energies in India. These, for the most part, you might want to avoid. But the most beneficial lines we're showing up is your Venus line right here in Pune. And there are a lot of people here from Pune. And we've been looking at Pune a lot today. And Dr. Lott is from Pune. And just Pune is an amazing place. But here, this includes Pune. Also, Mumbai is pretty close. This whole Pacific area of western area of India is going to be supportive. I want you to avoid Nagpur. I want you to avoid Bangalore. I want you to avoid Vishakhapatnam. These places have more challenging influence. But I like your moon line in Chennai. I like your moon line in Kerala. And so these are more beneficial lines. But in general, I really like this Venus line towards Pune the most, and then also this moon line, which is Chennai and Kerala. So G, where are you currently living? Mumbai, great. So you're close to your Venus line there. That's going to be very beneficial for you as far as India. If you are going to travel other places in India, kind of avoid this blackish line here and kind of make it over to the other side of the ocean, like South India, Kerala, Chennai on East India. These will be good places for you to visit. And I just want you to avoid more of these black lines here. But where you currently are in Mumbai, very positive in your chart with the Venus influence for material prosperity. But again, I do suggest for you to be open towards traveling to Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, and Arizona in the United States. These places will be positive for you. Oh, your Jupiter Dasha. Thank you for sharing that information. So because you are getting into Jupiter dasha, this will be entering like magnet period of Jupiter. We talked about your Jupiter in the 8th house, which can cause some mixed effect challenges. But this Jupiter position in your Mahadasha can bring you closer to Jupiter. So Jupiter, very strong in Toronto, Canada, Detroit. We talked about Florida. And let me see what houses Jupiter rule in your chart. 12th and 3rd. So not ruling Artha houses. My intuition is that the Jupiter dasha will be very powerful period for you spiritually. And I think that the travels to other parts of the world will benefit you spiritually, but not necessarily materially. So that is so when I understand your chart a little bit more, it's not necessarily that you do not have other location in the world which you are to travel to. You do. It's just where you currently are in India is going to be the most beneficial for you materially. It's actually the only place in the globe where there is Venus line. Here, Venus line in ocean. Here, Venus line in ocean. Here, Venus line in ocean, although close to Sydney. That's why I like Sydney, Australia for you. But this place you are in Mumbai will be most you're in a good place, my friend. You're in a good place, especially for your material success. But this Jupiter line during your Mahadasha, I do encourage you to visit those places. This includes Toronto, Florida, Peru, Lake Titicaca gets strong really there in Peru. We have Italy. We have Vietnam. So all of these places, once your Jupiter dasha begin, will be more auspicious for you to consider. Thank you, Jeet. I hope that was beneficial, my friend. Wonderful. So now let's take a look at live questions. Please put your questions forth through the Q&A portion of our webinar. Okay, go full swing, Kartik. I think we answered that. You're from Darwin. Okay, great. So now, done. Okay, first question. Anonymous attendee. I wish you be owner of 5 billions. Oh, okay. Will it be possible by predicting through ACG, which is the place I have to do the business? I am currently doing business in surgical hospital and medical equipment. So we are looking at more conceptual questions, so I can't look at your specific chart, but yes, the answer to your question is yes. It will be very possible for you to know where is the best place for you to have the hospital for the greatest amount of success. I highly encourage this to be using your 2nd house and your 10th house. But the 4th house has to do with property. So if there is a relationship in your chart between the 2nd house and the 10th house and the 4th house, use that relationship to help support the astrocartography. Dear sir, my Lagna is Scorpio. Venus, oh, okay. Lots of good questions coming in. Hopefully we get a chance to check all of them. Okay, wow. Wow. Okay, good. Okay. My Lagna is Scorpio. Venus plus Jupiter in 7th house. Venus is in Rohini Nakshatra. Okay, so it's in Taurus, hopefully. And ruler of Rohini is in 6th house. Oh, no, so you're saying it's on the other side of Rohini. I understand. So is the Jupiter-Venus line going to be favorable for you? Mm-hmm. So Scorpio relating to Jupiter will be beneficial. The Venus line in 7th house in Rohini. Yes, overall, I could say it's hard to say without looking at your chart, without looking at the ACG. But my intuition is that the Jupiter line is going to be very beneficial, having to do with Scorpio here. And Venus line should also be beneficial as well. Okay. If there is an exchange between planets, And if one of the participating planets comes in Artha, do we consider that planet too? Yes. Great question, Kartik. Yes. Please consider any deposits or exchanges as relate to the Artha Bhava when looking for the astrocartography. Manish, can you check my chart, sir? I would love to, but we don't really have time to look at the individual spaces. Sorry, my friend. If you have a more general question, just send it through. Barosa, tell me about that Pluto line. Sure. So when we're looking at the Pluto line, it could be very significant. Now, you have to look at the relationship from a karmic perspective, that Pluto is connected to Lord Yama. Lord Yama is the deity which is connected to Pluto. Yama is the deity which judges all our righteousness at the time of our life when we go through moksha, when we leave our body. Therefore, the Pluto line is a place of karmic acceleration. It is a place what support you to be more righteous. It is a place what is to bring you, to support you to be more honest, more righteous, more moral and ethical individual. But you did mention that Pluto brings you illness. Well, Pluto is connected to Lord Yama. Lord Yama is connected to death. So oftentimes, it is very possible that being close to our Pluto lines has us to deal with disease. Because on some level, being close to our Pluto line makes us look at moksha, makes us look at our preparation for death. I wanted to ask, did this method helps in relationships also, like looking at the Venus line? Yes, that is a great question. And in my course, Astrocartography, the Geography of Astrology, we will be focusing specifically on what we can do in astrocartography to support romance, to support love, to support relationship. But yes, your intuition is correct. The Venus line does have signification for supporting the karma of our relationships. Sorry, Manish. Another time, my friend. We'll look at your chart, buddy. Okay, April. Where is the best place for my career? Oh, thank you for your birth details, April, but we're not looking at specific, able to pull specific up charts. But if you write a question with a little bit about your astrocartography, if you already know it, I'll do my best to answer that. Wow, okay. We're getting many more questions. I want to spend a little more time answering questions. So let's take a 5-minute break and then I'll come back and we'll answer some more questions.
Sure.
Okay, great. Namaste. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste. Namaste.
Georgie, will you open my video up? This says for host to...
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me get the video. Hello, everybody, again. Welcome back to Astro Cartography, the greatest tool for prosperity. We have spent a lot of time today discussing various aspects of how to use astrocartography to support the second aim of life, Artha, which includes career expansion as well as material prosperity and financial wealth. And we've had a lot of different examples of how to support those aims of life with astrocartography. And now we're just taking a look at some live questions from the community. And we have 21. So let's try to move through as many of these as possible.
Yes.
Okay. Yogesh says, hi, I've been trying so hard to go abroad for work, but still no luck. Would like to know which country should I try my luck? Oh, okay. Well, it's hard to understand that, Yogesh, without looking at your chart. So not sure I can answer that question properly. So I'm going to move on to the next one. How do we make sense of Pluto and reconcile it with Vedic astrology? So thanks for asking that question a little bit. I believe I answered that earlier. It has to do with this judgment, a place of karmic acceleration. So it's like a place where we have to become more righteous. But it also, by its connection to Lord Yama, makes us work on moksha, our relationship to death. Okay. Okay, so, and second question is, you said, this is a great question. Really like this question, Kartik. Maybe a little controversial what I'm going to say. You said longevity to be increased with ACG. So ACG can override what the Mahadasha and Antardasha promises. Hypothetically speaking, it is possible by relocation or geographic astrocartography that you can add 510 to the years of the life by improving the condition. Now, ultimately, there is a time in the chart where you are meant to go, and I guess nothing can get in between that. But if there is a span of years which you can live depending on the health of your life, then going to astrocartography can help you live a longer life. So I believe when we're looking at the chart, like you said, the Mahadasha, the Antardasha, that there are different opportunities for death. The first opportunity for death is the type of death which has to do with us not caring about our bodies, us not caring about our health. But there are many opportunities we have in life which, if we care about our doshas, if we care about our health, we can actually live a much longer life. And astrocartography can be a great tool for that. George, when analyzing the... When analyzing the 2nd, 6th, and 10th house effects on the 2nd, 10th, and 11th effects, can we check their effect from the Chandra Lagna or the current Mahadasha Lord Lagna, or only from the Lagna? Great question, George. You can use it from the Chandra Lagna, you can use it from the Surya Lagna, you can do it from the Mahadasha Lord Lagna. All of these will show something, but again, I think in general with astrocartography, which has so many different aspects, the most simplest that we can do will actually give the most amount of information. So I believe the Chandra Lagna, Surya Lagna, Mahadasha Lord Lagna, the Charadasha Lagna, Yogini Dasha, we can use all of these different aspects, but we don't need to. For Aries ascendant and Virgo moon sign, which line to be considered? Okay, at least you told me you were an Aries ascendant. So that means you'll do well with Jupiter line. You'll do well with Mars line. You'll do well with Surya sun line. But you have to look at the dignity of those planets. Oh, goodness. Is that about Pluto? Yeah, Pluto's an interesting one. Currently, Ketu Dasha has started, is in 4th house in Mars Naksha. Okay, not enough information. Are there remedies for this since we don't know Pluto? Yes, and actually, Sunil has put together some videos about Pluto in Astro Cartography. I mean, in Jyotish. Are there remedies for this? Because Pluto is a Western planet, I'm not sure as much of the remedy for Pluto, but I know that there are resources for remedy for Pluto. But for one, you propitiate Lord Yama. You know, really start to honor and invoke that relationship with Lord Yama. Okay, Victoria mentioned, if I talked about relocating close to debilitated lines and Jamini Karaka. So we did talk a little bit about the Karakas as relates to the lines. Specifically, the most important when we're looking at astrocartography, we want to use the Atma Karaka and we want to use the Ayatma Karaka. But again, Dara Karaka and the different Karakas can also be significant. And so going close to those lines, especially the Atma Karaka, generally I find the planet of the higher degree is more powerful. But whatever significations that Karaka supports, for example, if that Karaka is supporting marriage, then going close to that line does support that possibility. In general, relocating close to a debilitated line is not encouraged. Most of the results I see can be challenging. However, if it's a malefic planet which debilitated, it can lose some of its bala. And by its loss of bala, you can also see a reduction of results that are challenging. But still, there will be a mixed effect. I normally do not encourage the relocation near debility. I have just relocated close to your sun line, and your sun line is debilitated in the 4th. Well, it's in the 4th, which does support the energy being there. With Mercury and Saturn being exalted, yeah. So exactly, maybe it does cancel. That's what I was going to say. Wherever there is a debilitation and an exaltation, they kind of create an energy together. And so you do experience a canceling out of some of the debilitated effects. In other words, you will experience great rewards there, except by the debilitation, there will be more Saturn-type rewards, which will require lots of hard work, will require lots of organization, focus, determination, and lots of your time. And you might get lots of success, but nothing will come without work. I definitely want a full consult. Okay, Feroza, wonderful. Just contact me at kṣaṇāti@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Dear sir, 7th house is 10th from 10th. So Venus in 7th will treat as Marka in Taurus sign for Scorpio ascendant. Yes, but I'm not exactly sure what the consultation. Do you do face-to-face consultation? Yes, I do face-to-face. Oh, you're in Westchester. Well, just go to my website, jyotishastrology.org. You'll see my phone number on there. Give me a call. I'm about 25 minutes from you. Yes, I have a home practice here in Philadelphia. Is there a possibility to see the place of previous birth with astrocartography? Yes. We didn't actually, I love this question, by the way. Really great question. And yes, we didn't look at them too much, but I'll share it on the screen with you just so we can understand it. I want to show you about this past lifetime energy. So when we're understanding past lifetime energy, we're looking at something called a vector. A vector is the points in the chart which are the most concentrated. These vectors have certain signifying energies, which might suggest our past lifetimes. And so let me pull up a good example here. To show past lifetime. Okay, great. So a good example is to understand these vectors. These vectors show up as highest concentrated points of karmic energy, which means if you were to go there in this lifetime, odds are that energy would be overtly intense. It can show, if the line is exalted, it can be an extremely beneficial place, but energetically around these areas in a certain radius of miles, our past lifetimes resonate from. So when we're looking at here, there's a lot of vectors. These little circles here, these are vector points. So these are the points of the highest concentration, which means all through Asia and Australia and India, this whole part of the world, this is where a large amount of the past lifetimes come from. Here we have a Rahu vector in Hawaii, very close to Hawaii. So it's possible there were some lifetimes of Hawaii for this individual. So we're looking at different points where you can kind of see strong karmic energy. Here for Jyotish, we're looking at a Mars vector in south of Mexico. This is very interesting because it's hard to imagine us being born in a completely different country. But I do believe that these vectors that I'm mentioning here, that there is a direct relationship between them and the past lifetimes around those areas. Okay, great question. Okay, so there's a lot of questions and there's still questions coming in. So I'm going to answer. What do you think, Medora? How many more questions should we answer?
It's up to you.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see what we can do. I think about, we'll go about 10 more minutes, so we'll see where we're at after in about 10 more minutes.
Yes.
Okay, Kartik, I've checked my ACG and tried to relate what you have said. Okay, the lines are not passing through those places, and the lines, okay. So as far as your question is places where there are no lines, it's not necessary that we're close to these lines, like it's a tool like you're mentioning here. But places where there are no lines can be very positive depending on the chart. A lot of people think, oh, this place has no lines. That means it's not positive. No, that doesn't mean it's not positive. That just means there's not that much karmic acceleration going on at that place, which means your regular chart plays out where it is. Where our Jupiter line, we have to go through more karma with Jupiter. Where our Saturn line, we have to go through more karma with Saturn. Where our Mercury line, we have to go through more karma with Mercury. So there is this strong signification here that is saying that neutral can sometimes be very positive. And then also, Kartikji, if when you're analyzing it, you want to look at if you go onto the cartography to show you the lines, look at the lines for the harmonious aspect. Look at the lines for the disharmonious aspect, because these show more subtle karmic energies, which are also strong. So my intuition is there's probably some aspect lines there, just not any major lines, which means there's some karmic freedom, which can be liberating. Okay, Venus in Pisces with Mercury in 11th. No planet in 2nd. Sun in 11th. Pluto and Ketu in the 6th. Okay. Yogesh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure your question is easy to answer right now. Or can I get business or relationship on Venus line? Venus line is support both of those things in general. Venus with Jupiter is Scorpio in the 7th house. That means Venus is in Taurus in 7th. Yes, your Venus line should be very beneficial, Lalitji. April asks, I am Gemini Lagna. Jupiter is exalted at exact degree in 2nd house. Nice. It is ruled by Moon in Taurus, also exalted in the 12th. Very interesting. In my Astro Cartography, Moon situates itself close to Seattle, and you have desired to move there. I am just concerned because whenever 2nd Lord is in 12th, it tends to indicate poverty. I am afraid if I move there, I will be poor. Have you ever seen a situation when the 2nd Lord deposited in the 12th yields financial success? Yes, I have seen situations, especially in situations like yours, where the energies in the second and the energy in the 12th are both exalted. But the 12th house has moksha position. And so it does indicate a very strong energy, which is going to influence moksha. So ultimately, it's not like you won't have any financial success, because that energy in your second house is going to benefit that, even though, like you said, the 12th house will take away from that. What I'm really feeling overall is more of a benefit to your spirituality. So it's not necessarily saying that you won't make as much money. It's just saying you won't care as much about money. It's just saying money's not going to be as important to you because you're going to be focusing on higher things. Also, you have mentioned that ACG can increase longevity from 60 to 80. So do you actually mean like ACG can just toss over what my Mahadasha and Antardasha have to unfold? No. No matter where you go in the world, you cannot avoid your karma. If it is your karma to die at one specific moment based on your Mahadasha and your Antardasha, then there is no avoiding that. I am just saying that if your karma is focusing on health, which is your relationship to your body, which is the balance of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and the doshas within the body, that if we can align to those vibrations in our chart and in our astrocartography, we can live a much longer life. If you're supposed to get hit by a car at so-and-so Mahadasha or Antardasha, no amount of moving anywhere is going to change that. But if your karma is more focused on your relationship to your body and your health, then yes, you can extend your life through the astrocartography. And ultimately, though, it's about balance of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in the body and keeping the body from going through Samprapti, the 6 stages of disease in Ayurveda. Kartik, you're funny. Okay. Second house Mars. Second house Mars, now Jupiter Maha. Okay, so these aren't questions for astrocartography. If it's not an astrocartography question, I'm sorry, I'm just going to move on. Does astrocartography also support Vaidasha? Great question, Saint Mohapatra. Yes, and actually during our 10-week astrocartography course, Vedic Astro Cartography, the Astrology of Geography, we spend a whole class discussing the relationship between Dasha and ACG. They act like magnet. Dasha like magnet for ACG. Sir, does spouse's chart affect native's chart in astrocartography? Yes, especially if the two are married, then you inherit 50% of each other natal chart and then 50% of each other ACG chart. For Cancer ascendant, which line? Moon, dependent that the moon is in high position. But also for Cancer ascendant, you want to look at Jupiter. You want to look at other positive, or Venus, Jupiter, Venus, and also not really Rahu, K2. Yeah, mostly Jupiter and Venus and Moon for Cancer ascendant. Okay, Kartik, you've had great questions. Here comes another one. Can ACG help someone who doesn't have their birth details or right details? An extended question, variation of a few minutes here and there affects its interpretation, or one has to go for BTR, birth time rectification. Yes, one should go to birth time rectification. However, the lines for the planetary lines, they don't shift as radically from 1 minute to the next. So if you have ballpark, let's say within 15 or 30 minutes of your birth time, that will be pretty beneficial for astrocartography, because you can still get something out of it if you just have window of birth time, but not exact moment. Okay, mentioned the spouse's chart. We talked about that. Great question. If Atma Karaka is debilitated, probably don't, wow. There's no straight answer to this. I want to see your chart to know like how this is manifesting. Mixed effect. The Atma Karaka will support that place to be powerful. Debilitated means there will be inauspicious effect. Okay, we're getting closer. Every accident, there are different Yog Karaka planet. How is effect? Yes, that's true. Okay, Yogesh. This is not Astro Cartography, so just skipping that. If it's not ACG related, I'm just going to move on. If your 6th Lord is conjunct with 12th Lord and 7th Lord in 4th house, we'd still take 6th Lord as it may create problems in marriage. Good question, Usha. Not ACG. Okay, also, does just moving across the border from Delaware to Pennsylvania make a difference in relationships and career? Usha G, it certainly can. It certainly can. You want to see where the line is striking, but when specifically moving a small distance, you want to look at the harmonious and disharmonious aspects. Again, this is best done with in a professional consultation because these more aspecting aspect, like the more aspects, harmonious, disharmonious, it's kind of can be challenging to interpret on your own. Is accurate birth time required, or can we erect Prashna chart and go from there? Yeah, I love using Prashna. There are many different methods. I heard if you, my favorite method is the Navamsha Lagna of the Prashna at the time that you were asked of the person doesn't have birth time will usually reveal their Lagna in their D1. Again, this is just one method. You can't just go off of that, but yes, there's some amazing methods for that. For Cancer Ascendant, we talked about those favorable lines. Delaware question, we talked about the spouse's chart. Yes, you do influence that. Thank you, Feroza, for your warm and kind compliment. Thank you, Lalitji. Thank you, Namaste. How can we find where life partner belongs to as per Astro Cartography? So there are different ways to do this. Today we focused on prosperity, but when looking for how to support life partners' karmic evolution, you want to look at the Dharma karma for the spouse and then compare that to the ACG. So when looking for overall where the person should be most comfortable, we look at Dharma karma, which is another topic which we go over in astrocartography, the geography of destiny. If he has no wealth indications in his chart, does astrocartography help in gaining wealth? Yes, even if you don't have wealth indications in your chart, use the 2nd house and the 10th house and the rulers of those houses, and you will benefit financially. It's just if there are challenging karmas there, you will have some challenges too. But yes, going to energies in your 2nd house, going to energies in your 10th house will really support that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Has Vastu and ACG got any interlink, mate? Yes, I love Vastu. The science of Vastu is really profound. And when we're looking at Vastu, we also use the natal chart. For example, the energy in the 4th house. We look at the energy. So I would say when looking at Vastu, especially in decorating a home, we look at the energies in the 4th house in our ACG. Then for Vastu, as it relates to the 10th house, we look at career energies, maybe the design of our office or things like that. So definitely a beautiful relationship there. Yogesh, so nice for you to join us. Everyone, we answered all the questions. Wonderful. Thank you for those 58 wonderful questions from the community. I'm so happy we had a chance. And I am so grateful for everyone who joined us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kṣaṇāti. It was wonderful. And guys, it was just a preview. So you can imagine what fun and what kind of learning we are going to have in the whole 10-week course. So I specifically encourage everybody to join our course and be benefited out of it. So thank you so much, Kṣaṇāti. It was just wow. Wonderful.
Thank you, Madhuraji. Thank you, everyone from all over the world. Thank you, Sunil, John, and the rest of the team here at Saptarishis Astrology. It is such a blessing and honor for me to do my dharma here and to support this community. And I feel so blessed and grateful, and just want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye-bye. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.